When Portuguese sailors first discovered Taiwan in 1519, they were so struck by its awesome beauty that they named it Ilha Formosa, or Beautiful Island. But the island's past hasn't always been benevolent. In fact, its history over the last 400 years has seen some turbulent periods. Since the 16th century, Taiwan has experienced incursions from the Spanish, colonization by the Dutch, 200 years of Manchurian rule, and more recently, half a century of Japanese occupation. But during Taiwan's darkest hour, many locals kept faith in an ancient goddess to watch over them. And near the end of World War II, a mysterious Taiwan miracle was reported. As American forces were bombing Japanese-occupied Taiwan, the figure of a beautiful lady suddenly appeared in the sky. Witnesses claimed she prevented the bombs from harming her devotees. To her believers, this was no illusion. They recognized the woman immediately as the goddess Ma-Tzu, guardian protector of Taiwan, and this is her legacy. The third month of the Chinese lunar calendar sees an explosion of colorful fanfare in Taiwan. Around April or May, elaborate decorations are crafted, exotic foods prepared, and rehearsals conducted in anticipation of a very special celebration. For those unfamiliar with Chinese folk customs, it presents a chance to get acquainted with a cornucopia of unique cultural offerings. No expense is spared for this divine birthday party. And with good reason, for Ma-Tzu is no ordinary goddess, but a goddess of the sea, and the island nation's most revered deity. So for many thousands of Taiwanese, the Ma-Tzu festival is the most important event in their religious calendar. In springtime, Ma-Tzu mania grips the nation, offering a cultural lineup of temple visits, street parades, and a long, winding pilgrimage. Today, there are some 400 temples dedicated to her, each pulsating with devotees at this special time of year. Who is this sea goddess? And why has she so firmly captured the imagination of the Taiwanese? It's no accident that Ma-Tzu ranks highest amongst the pantheon of folk gods and goddesses. She has a special relevance to Taiwan's maritime culture. Taiwan's migrant ancestors braved the seas as they arrived from mainland China 4 centuries ago. Many early Han immigrants lost their lives in the process, but those that took the risk depended on Ma Tzu for protection on their perilous voyage across the Taiwan Strait. The island's many coastal residents also relied on fishing to survive, so the goddess of the sea naturally became larger than life. The legend of Ma Tzu, guardian goddess of the sea, has been passed down among several generations over the last millennia. Although Ma Tzu is revered for many different acts of kindness, she is particularly known to intervene when her devotees face trouble at sea. It is said when a believer's ship is about to capsize during a storm, a woman dressed in ancient clothes and carrying a red lantern suddenly appears and guides the ship to safety. Ma Tzu also has two divine assistants, Qian Li Yan, who can see ships at risk 1,000 miles away, and Shun Feng who can hear distress calls from a great distance. Word spread quickly that Ma Tzu saved many fishermen's lives and warned them about approaching dangers. What started off as village whispers soon became legend. Even today, many sailors and fishermen invoke the sea goddess for protection before setting sail. But Ma Tzu's divine jurisdiction wasn't just confined to maritime mishaps. Over the centuries, her popularity grew with various Chinese emperors who conferred numerous titles on the sea goddess. And during the Qing dynasty, a royal edict declared her Tian Ho, Empress of Heaven. Today, Ma Tzu is worshipped by Taiwanese from all walks of life. The name Ma Tzu directly translates to Mother Ancestor, and it's the universal reverence for motherly care that explains her wide appeal. But what's intriguing is that the tale of Ma Tzu is not entirely imagined. She was once a living, breathing mortal. During China's Sung dynasty, in the year 960, a rather exceptional child was born on Meizhou Island, just off the coastal province of Fujian, China. She was called Mo Niang, which means silent girl, because unlike most babies, she never cried out during birth. From an early age, Mo Niang was noted for her intelligence and spiritual nature. The legend of how she became a deity has several versions. In one account, Mo Niang tried to save her father and brother from drowning as their fishing boat was sinking. Mo Niang was in a trance, but her mother distracted her. As a result, she lost her grip on her father, although her brother survived. From then on, Mo Niang continued to use her powers to save fishermen before disappearing into the misty mountains at the age of 28. Many believed she had ascended into the realm of immortals. Soon after word of her miraculous power spread, small temples bearing her likeness sprang up along the coastal regions of China and eventually spread inland. Then, when Taiwan's Chinese ancestors migrated from Fujian province, so too did their beloved goddess protector. Ma Tzu had a new home and was to have a profound role in the island's spiritual formation. Today, Taiwan has more than 12,000 registered temples, making it one of the most temple-populated countries in the world. Many of those temples are dedicated to the compassionate goddess, whose worshippers now believe helps all causes. In fact, They believe she not only listens, but also responds, and not just to the locals.
请问妈祖，听说你1000连续给一位信徒17个信会，我想宣扬正统妈祖文化，是希望你能给我明确的鼓励。如果你愿意，请给我18个信会打破前面的记录，可以吗？
In Taiwanese folk religion, communicating with gods requires some skill. While many local temples use spirit mediums to contact the gods, Matsu's temples avoid this practice. One must speak directly to Matsu, as no one can serve as an intermediary. These crescent-shaped pieces of wood, or divining blocks, are used by worshippers to elicit a response from Matsu. During this ritual, worshippers can ask questions or make a wish. Matsu's answer is then interpreted by the way the blocks fall when they are thrown to the ground. If one block faces inside up and the other down, the answer is yes. Both sides down means no. And when both blocks face up, the question is irrelevant or an answer is presently unavailable. In this way, the blocks are used as a bridge between mortal desire and divine instruction. When worshippers pray to the gods, they're essentially making a kind of barter. They exchange prayers, food offerings, and incense in return for Matsu's protection, blessings, or assistance. And one of the best ways to ensure receiving them is to celebrate her birthday during the third moon of the lunar calendar. Located in west-central Taiwan, the town of Peikang was one of the island's earliest port towns, and not surprisingly, one of the first areas of Matsu worship in the country. Chinese settlers began construction of a Matsu temple almost as soon as there were houses in the area. Peikang is home to one of the oldest and largest Matsu temples in Taiwan. And on the 23rd day of the third lunar month, pilgrims the world over descend on Peikang to wish the goddess a happy birthday and revel in the colorful festivities. The custom of visiting Matsu also reflects the importance of filial piety in Taiwanese culture. Many parents observe the need for younger generations to pay their respects to gods and ancestors. They believe that with Matsu's care and protection, their children will achieve success in later life. This is why parents often bring their children to receive Matsu's blessings, making the festival a family affair. But the highlight of the Matsu festival is undoubtedly the Cross Island Pilgrimage. Here, thousands of worshippers from temples across Taiwan carry statues of the goddess on a trek to a central temple. Worshippers observe many ceremonial rituals during the Matsu pilgrimage, including lighting firecrackers and skyrockets. And not just for merrymaking. Loud sounds are meant to scare away evil or other psychic forces and signal the start of the pilgrimage. Matsu is also run backwards and forwards to gather enough chi, or life force, for the long journey ahead. Noise, color, and anarchy are the highlights of the Matsu festival. Which can draw up to 100,000 devotees from all over the world. Fireworks and loud trumpets herald the start of the main procession. Where Matsu's statue is carried in her palanquin through packed streets. And all along the parade route, a sea of believers clamor to touch Matsu's palanquin. It's an act they believe will grant them her blessings for the entire year. And it's an incredible sight to behold. Matsu's believers begin their trek from their respective temples and must be prepared to travel with little sleep on this difficult journey. Their pilgrimage covers almost 300 kilometers, lasting up to 8 days and 7 nights. Yet many of her devotees from around the world are keen to participate, as it's deemed the surest way of earning her blessings. To her believers, the Matsu pilgrimage is not superstition, but an endeavor rich in meaning and purpose. It's not uncommon for these annual parades to pass through many smaller Matsu shrines along the way, and they make it a point to stop at each one. Enthusiastic locals greet the procession, and devotees prostrate on the street, allowing the palanquin to pass over their bodies and bestow blessings. The pilgrims walk day and night, usually stopping for no more than a few hours to rest each day. But even the most dedicated followers cannot escape the inevitable. Sooner or later, fatigue takes a heavy toll, and many are faced with the possibility of not completing their sacred journey. Despite the physical challenge, it's uncommon for even a single believer to quit the Matsu pilgrimage. Townsfolk along the route provide encouragement and much-needed food and water. Once rejuvenated, devotees prepare to face the final leg of their holy journey across Taiwan's rugged and beautiful terrain. Each year, the pilgrimage follows a different path, depending on the will of Matsu, which is divined at the temples. Sometimes, she demands that her followers walk through rivers instead of crossing bridges or smoothly paved roads. Either way, the devotees are always willing to make the sacrifice and determined to see out her divine wishes. Finally, Matsu's procession approaches its grand climax. Matsu's palanquin is about to be delivered to a central temple, where a significant rite will take place. Ash from the incense burned at the central temple is carried by pilgrims back to their home temple as a symbol of good fortune. Some worshippers also believe that ashes from the central temple's burner have the power to heal. They are exchanged for the benefit of Matsu followers everywhere. But aside from ritual and ceremony, one of the key functions of the Matsu festival is to bring people together, to strengthen and celebrate the sense of community in Taiwan with much fanfare. Gong and drum music, lion dancers, marching bands, and a street party set up a carnival-like atmosphere and provide a fitting end to Taiwan's biggest religious festival. The sea goddess Matsu is a symbol of the nation's values, beliefs, and spiritual character. Matsu's story not only parallels Taiwan's history as an island nation, her role as their savior represents the future hopes of a people. She is their divine metaphor, and her legacy will continue to live on in the spiritual life of Taiwan.
接下来，3位肩负着重大使命的科学家，在海上顶着狂风巨浪，冒着未知的风险，首次将灰鲨的交配行为进行完整记录。动物寻奇，鲨鱼的亲密世界，接着播出。